Hello everybody, what's going on? Hope you are all doing fantastic. This is going to be a pretty quick one today. We're just doing a little quick update on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but checking out the quote of the day: doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Ain't that the truth? I'm not entirely sure if this started, but the quote came from a thing from Spartan Race. If you're not familiar with Spartan Race, man, you should go look into it because it is absolutely outstanding. And just as a heads up, they don't have to do the entire like Spartan Elite race. They've got like the sprint, whatever the second one is, and then the long one. And if nothing else, I actually hold on, let's get into the charts and then I'll get back into that. But it's very, very good for you both physically and mentally. But looking over here at the Bitcoin chart, see, we have some bullish divergence going on here. This is on the 4-hour. And you can see we got 15 on the bullish DBSI right there, coming up from 8. And kind of flip-flopping a little bit, but over here on the 4-hour, it looks a little more demure compared to what it looks like on the smaller time frames. But our VWAP is coming up. Let's see if I can get this back to normal here. Money flow potentially reaching the bottom of this particular wave here. It's what we would be hoping to see. Now, RSIs, as we were coming down more and more, we were getting split apart. And so hopefully if we are curving back to the upside, best case would be that they come back and meet up. Even if they stay a little spread, we'll see what happens. But it does seem like, this distance here is greater than that distance there. So it does seem as though they are at least coming back together a little bit, and the fact that it's doing it while we're curving to the upside would be good news for the bulls out there. Jumping out to the daily, you can see VWAP continuing to curve up a little bit. That's looking a little bit ugly. Weakening over here went from 19 to 12. So kind of more case that we may be rounding out the bottom, even if it's only temporary. So we shall see. We could have a situation like this where we kind of come up and then finish that move to the downside. Things to keep an eye on. Money flow is increasing, which, it's not the greatest representation up here in the price, but generally speaking, we are heading upward, even if it is, fairly volatile with some bigger swings going on there. Let's go 12-hour. Again, VWAP looking pretty decent so far, looking like we're about to cross up. Might be rolling this momentum wave over, which would be nice. At that point, we would see some correlation there with the increasing, well, matter of fact, from all the way back here. Again, kind of got decreasing on the top side though too, so be wary. Down to the 6-hour. Yeah, hopefully this is the case. It looks like it. The VWAP kind of trending upwards, so got weaker as we got down to the bottom here. Pretty close to what we saw on the 4-hour. Jump to the 3. Yeah, you can see VWAP still up in the positive, starting to turn down. RSI is coming together, but we are kind of going sideways. So, we were already up here at the top. Came down to the bottom. It's a good chance that we start heading back up like we saw over here. Again, divergence showing fairly nicely. You can see we had this little wave right here. And from this wave to that wave is still more bullish divergence. Now, money flow at its lowest point, kind of a tie with this one, but still lowest point out of potential arc like that. So that one we'll have to keep an eye on a little bit. You know, we saw something similar back here where we came down and at one point we were even with this previous bump, which is very reminiscent of what we're looking at right now. And we were seeing bullish divergence, but we still had, you know, one more leg left to go. And we still had bullish divergence with that one even. So it is a chance that we've got, you know, one more big ugly dump before we turn to the upside. Not guaranteed by all means. Doesn't have to happen. You can see, like, even as things generally trended up here on the previous little uptrend, we're starting to see it. We don't have anything to the upside just yet like we had with that guy. So, you know, it'd be nice if we're rounding out this bottom. But there is a potential, you know, for one more dump before we, you know, really start pushing back up. So just keep an eye out for that. You know, if you're going into a long position, be sure to set your stop loss or keep an eye on it. Have yourself like a, you know, a limit close somewhere if you don't want to do the market order. Now here on the 2 hour, man, the 2 hour has just been a harbinger of bad news lately. Definitely getting spread out on the RSIs. We are coming up in the money flow. We do have that divergence right there, which this divergence could very well just be played out within this, you know, uptrend right there, that little move to the upside. We'll see. It's really the only one we're seeing over here on, I mean, unless you're counting these two, not a lot on the 2 hour. But jumping back into, and again, you know, you come back here and we have a lot of similarities going on with this right here. Again, past performance does not guarantee future performance, but there's definitely similarities. You know, had one wave, two wave, one wave, two wave before we started coming up a little bit. Now this guy was fairly big move, although it was still higher. But even though the money flow was almost up there into the green, just big time dump. Coming down to the 1 hour. And see, you start to get this, you know, a little bit of flakiness where kind of squeezing together on the momentum waves. RSI's going up and actually just started coming back together. What do we got? Just over the last 2 hours. So it could potentially be a good sign there, but, you know, keep in mind things oscillate. Again, a lot of evidence that, you know, we have at least one more move to the downside. You know, this guy played out. Just got our little red diamond right there. 14 to the bearish side. VWAP just crossed. Got our little red dot. Money flow. Weak and just got into the red just this hour. And we were pretty choppy through here. And if you go back and look at you know, previous times where it was getting choppy. You know, we got a little bit right here with the weak green, kind of flip-flopping back and forth, choppy through here. You know, we tended to get, it's kind of a bad example because we had that big one, but, you know, we, like right here, as we were getting choppy, we tended to have a bigger money flow move eventually after a while. Not saying one side or the other, just, you know, after all this weakness, finally, boom. A little bit of choppiness right there. Matter of fact, as it was dumping. So we'll see how that goes. But, you know, just zooming out and looking at this, we do look as though we are generally trending, or starting to trend to the upside. But, you know, with this weakness, how we're kind of coming into a squeeze here, I just kind of stay on my toes and keep an eye out to see which way it begins to break. Let's see, 45, kind of weak on the VWAP. Looks like we may start heading back up. 10, 14, 10. Yeah, could be just a little guy like this. Could be getting choppy. Let's go 30-minute. You know, again, money flow. A little bit sketchy. VWAP potentially starting to head back up here. If we do see, you know, this continue up, and particularly get above that level right there, which is 39,556. You know, we do have a good bit of resistance right in this range. So that's what we're looking to get above. And before I go too much further down, what we got here? We'll save that one for a minute. So we have our macro time Gann square that got going here. Got lined up on a higher time frame on like a 4 or 6 hours, so nothing really appears to line up all that well. Oh, actually, you know what? No, okay, here's what happened. I changed this one because it was just looking flaky. I don't know if I bumped it or something, but it was just off. So what I did was, since I can't get a 0.5 box in here, like it's not an option, I measured out from where this the fan line intersects right there, like I was talking about in the Gann square video, and just drew a straight line down halfway to the bottom over here to where it intersects the 45, the 1x1, or the 1-to-1, and I put the swing low onto that point just out of curiosity, just to see if you know, anything would line up for me. And as you could see, it was not too bad. I mean, we, you know, had our resistance up there. We just ran along that curve right there until we got about to the one line, and then we started dumping. You know, hit a little bit of support there, came back up, found support at this ring, pushed through almost to this lower one. Resistance here. Support there. You know, support down here. So, oh, resistance there as well. So I'm going to see how it plays out, whether or not I leave it there. It's kind of an experiment. And I wanted a smaller one just for the immediate short term. So I drew this one, started it out pretty early just to see how it ends up, how it fills in, how it plays out. So I'll kind of keep, updates on this one in future videos. I'll leave this in, come back and check it every once in a while, once a day or something like that. But just, off rip, it seemed to be, oh, and I lined it up again with this intersection right here on this high point. It's a pain in the ass to do because you got to just drag all the way over here out to the top corner, move it a tiny bit, come back over here, look. But, it came up and just we're above the line, below the line. Now it looks like we're breaking down below it once again after getting rejected off the 1-to-1. So we shall see. I was doing the, the fixed range volume for pretty much this whole area down here. And we're actually at the, the largest volume point right now. But we also have right about this level and, where we come across like this intersection, we had some big spots. And then again down here right about, at this price level. So we shall see how that goes. Actually, yeah, I'm going to hide it. But going over to Ethereum, got our little macro square going on with this guy too. Look at that. We just rode the outside of that one. Got resistance on the inside, broke through, riding the outside. Now we're off into no man's land. This was interesting. I drew this guy early this morning while I was at work just to see him. Like, yeah, you know what? It seems like we're going to turn around. Obviously, it was a lot sharper and straighter. We didn't get any nice curvature, but yeah, called that one right. So Ethereum 12-hour. Let me hide this guy for now. And as we look over here, yeah, no divergence or anything yet. Really, we have, well, something like this. That point sucks. Yeah, it looks like we got a little flag or a pennant, whatever you want to call it, continuing to form. Seeing about the same thing down here in the momentum waves as we decrease up here, increase up down there. Turn that off. But 11, 11, 11, 11. Still, we're kind of rounding out here. VWAP coming up. We are coming into the red on the money flow, and the RSIs are tight. Pointed down, but we are starting to flatten out and curve to the side. Overall, it's kind of trending downward. We did have the up. Just really did not have much in the way of a top on that RSI aside from, that little peak right there. So despite the fact that we had a nice pump, it just really didn't have staying power like we did back here. So we shall see 1 hour what's going on at the moment. Oh, just getting a big old blood diamond. Looks like, this little squeeze that we got going here might break to the downside, which I kind of expect. I feel like, again, not for sure, but I feel like we've got at least one more little move to possibly, play out off of that trend line right there. Or hopefully heading back up. No, I'm gonna leave it there. We'll see what happens here. So that is about it between Bitcoin and Ethereum. You know, total crypto cap looking a little bit more Bitcoinish. Altcoin about the same, maybe a little more stretched. Let's see Polkadot. Polkadot was kind of pumping over here the other day when everything else was kind of flatlining. I forgot I threw a square on here. And we have wiggled our way out of it. Looks like we shall have to adjust. You know, again, bullish divergence right here. You know, we've already surpassed that low right there. You know, we're about ready. Come on. About ready for a roll back up to the upside, but we're also squeezing on the top. I mean, look at this. This is a hell of a little pattern. You know, RSI just, again, didn't even have much of a top or a peak. I mean, you could almost say that, you know, this was all still just a longer downtrend from this top back here. You know, it kind of seems like we're in this area. A little similarity going on between these two. And not saying that we're going to have a gigantic dump, but can never rule anything out. You know, obviously we had a nice, decent little pump first, but we didn't quite have the, you know, as clear of a little squeeze going on. We did a little bit maybe. But then we got this little trigger wave down here. Shot us to the upside. And then just completely rebounded. Doubly so. Let's see, Cardano, is it still being a dick? Yep. Yeah, Cardano has not been doing much lately. I just sustaining that little swing to the downside. Yeah, tiny little pump there. A little one there, but no, this wasn't too bad, but obviously everything is generally the same. Solana had a nice big one back here. Let's see. Yeah, VeChain was kind of holding strong for a little bit, and then, you know, finally corrected over here. Looks like we got 3 yellow X's. Oops. Nope, didn't want that. Seeing a blood diamond down here. Let's see. Yeah, Phantom had a couple pretty big corrections to the downside, but, you know, they had I mean, some nice percentages. You know, even this guy, 36, 33. And came back that whole 36. Let's see, Shiba Inu. That's kind of crazy. We keep playing off of that line. About the same. Not quite as prolific as Phantom was, but now Luna is about one of the most different charts that we have right now. Now, obviously, it was doing fantastic. Had this nice little 4-leg, you know, bullish trend right here. That was beautiful. Just each one getting longer and longer and longer. Then had just a nice curvature rolled over the top. Came back to this support level right here. Well, I was talking about the purple one here, but also this, I guess. Yeah, looks like we found resistance right there and probably coming down from that point. Not sure if this really plays out, but that's a lot of downside. I hope not. Because if it's doing that, everybody else is too. Now, granted, with Luna pumping that much, you know, things tend to correct after big pumps. So it's possible that Luna sees a further pullback than Bitcoin and Ethereum. But we'll see. I mean, it's been strong lately. 5 yellow X's. Would have been nice to see 4 right there, but yeah, money flow. Kind of ugly. Oh, this avalanche, by the way. Possibly coming up on this little booty shape. This little apple bottom. Oh, sandy. Choppy. But yeah, weak even for, you know, red money flow waves. Yeah, generally following everybody else, but not a lot of strength. I'm guessing some of the hype has left Sandbox. I'm curious to start actually playing some of these. I haven't really looked too much into it, but I kind of want to start playing around with some of that stuff. And not only that, I'm going to start doing some videos like about crypto in general, because I know, you know, a lot of people just don't understand a lot of it and don't really take the time to learn it. So I'm just kind of going through little things here and there that I want to know about. And if I'm researching, I might as well make a video out of it. And so I was learning about DAOs. If you're not familiar with DAOs, it is decentralized autonomous organizations. And basically, you could think of it almost like forming a decentralized company with smart contracts where you kind of set all the governance and like goals and funding and all that stuff ahead of time, and then it's all voted on by consensus amongst, you know, the group of holders. And it's kind of interesting, like because there was a kind of a famous one that was in the news recently, was this Constitution DAO, and they were actually trying to raise money so that they could purchase, like, I'm positive it's not the original Constitution, but they were trying to bid to buy a rare copy of the Constitution. Only 13 left in existence from a print run in the 1700s. And they went to, I think it was like Sotheby's for the auction, but they didn't end up winning. They got outbid. And so, you know, with their decentralized organization, they voted on whether or not they should try to keep going or try to keep doing something else. And the group kind of voted to just dissolve it. And anybody who purchased that Constitution DAO token, I think it was called like People, that they would basically just get refunded in Ethereum. Or you could hold on to the People token. But so that's kind of what was up with that. But I'll get a little bit more into like all the different DeFi stuff and pretty much everything. We're just going to start knocking stuff out, learning about it. So if you're into crypto, aside from just trading, you know, you'll probably appreciate those videos, because I do have a little bit technical background. I do some computer programming and such, so I can understand what they're talking about and how it actually works, but at the same time break it down in layman's terms and make it understandable. Like, I even want to start trying to get some nice cartoony little graphics in there just to help visualize what they're talking about. Yeah, blood diamond showing up on ETH, not quite on Bitcoin yet. That's on the hourly. 22. 1821. I was gonna say, start getting up into these numbers, we may be, redlining it, and we'll run out of gas soon. VWAP still low, but starting to curve sideways. So I'd say my forecast here for me, it's overnight. I was looking to see whether or not I wanted to get into a trade, because we were getting these bullish divergence on the different charts, and I was like, do I want to set it and go to sleep? But we had these coming down up top and even just going up into higher time frames. I mean, it's not incredibly bullish, it's not bad. Like, VWAP is coming up, but the last two times it came up were pitiful. So who knows, we may just may have one more kick to the downside there. And either way, I'm gonna wait until morning, see what happens. But I hope you all have a wonderful day. And remember, keep learning something new every day. And doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Because if you never try anything, well, life would just suck. And you're definitely going to regret it. You don't want to be that old dude looking back like, man, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I would have talked to that girl. Man, fuck. I actually just had one of those situations like last Friday. But in my defense, it was a really awkward situation. All right, tell you what, since we're just chilling, it's the end of the video. If anybody's actually watching, you want to hear a funny story. So, my boss's wife took a bunch of us out to lunch last Friday, and we went over to this like barbecue spot. And we get there, there's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There was only like 6 of us. One of the dudes had to run over to the city to pick up some metal and stuff. And a couple people were on vacation, but we go there, we're sitting there, and we were like at the longer table, kind of in the back of the restaurant, and then like toward the front of the store, beside our table was like the emergency exit, and then you got into like a regular seating section that's like 4 top tables. And at the very first table there was a girl having lunch with her mom, and oh my god, this girl was super cute. Like, and not only that, but just like, you kind of pick up on people's style a little bit, and totally liked her style. Like, just the outfit, the makeup wasn't over the top, hair looked good, all the whole 9 yards. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh man, like, shit, like, I totally want to go like over and introduce myself. And I wasn't so much as worried about the mom being there, because if you do it a certain way, like you go over, you don't just ignore the mom and start hitting on the girl. That's bad juju. You got to go over there and like basically just kind of do both the same, like flirt with both of them at the same time, kind of, but make sure, like, maybe even almost look toward the mom a little bit, like you're trying to be polite, you're trying to be a gentleman. Don't just go over there with some dumbass one-liner. It's been done. I've done it before, and I usually get along with parents very well, so more times than not, it actually works out not only pretty good, but it makes for a hilarious story later on, because the mom will always end up saying something like totally embarrassing for her, and then you kind of get, you kind of give her an out, and yeah. Anyways, so like I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm thinking about it. But, you know, my boss's wife, like, you know, took us out, and it is kind of like a work lunch, even though it's not formal or anything. And she's paying for everything. So I'm like, well, okay, like for one, I don't want to be rude and just like leave the table potentially for, you know, a big chunk of time. Like, okay, so at the same time, like if I were to bring it up, she's the type where like she kind of like every once in a while she kind of asks me about it. Not about this situation, but like, oh, you got a girlfriend? Seen anybody yet? And I'm like, dude, man, I'm too damn busy. I don't even friggin' meet anybody. And not lately. Um, but she probably would have like egged me on to do it a little bit, but I don't know. Like I don't know her that well, at least in that kind of situation. But the thing that kind of took the cake for me was, you know, just looking like it wasn't like the girl and her mom, they weren't really having this like fun, laughing, joking conversation, like lighthearted lunch or whatever. Like they seemed a little too serious, almost like there was maybe a little bit of tension there. And I'm like, man, oh man, just to go like insert myself into that situation would probably be a total asshole move. Like, especially if they're just, you know, if it's a rough relationship there, like, you know, maybe they, you know, haven't lived together in a while and they're kind of meeting up and just kind of doing the lunch thing and catching up, and maybe there's some resentment there and it's a little bit of tension. And I'm like, oh, dude, like aside from it going absolutely perfectly and managing to get both of them to laugh and lighten things up, there's not a lot of scenarios where it works out well. So I passed on it, but not gonna say I don't regret it. But it's just, you know, it was one of those, it was like 50-50. And I wait, like, all right, like, I don't know if it starts lightening up a little bit, or maybe like after they finish eating or something like that. It just never looked great. But at the same time, you know what? Maybe that's my fault. Maybe it was like just missed opportunity and you never know until you try type of thing. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe God would be gracious enough to let me cross paths again in a better situation. Something a little more conducive to introducing yourself. Anyways, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. And hey, you know, it may not be 100% of the time, but most of the time, dude, take the chance. You only live once. What's the worst that's going to happen? You know, if you fall on your ass, you get back up. All right. Same goes for trading. So, you know, don't just jump in willy-nilly and FOMO, but if you're feeling some kind of way about a potential trade, hey, give it a shot. If you're nervous about it, just, you know, cut it quick if it doesn't do what you thought it should. All right. Later, guys.